Booyaka, booyaka, bitch!
Look in my eyes, what do you see? The cult of personality.
Welcome back, WrestleRant, to WrestleRant edition number 55. I am your host, Bleacher for Feature Columnist Level 2, Graham GSM Matthews, here today to discuss Monday Night Raw. But before we get right down to that, if you're wondering why I'm wearing a Rey Mysterio mask today, if you haven't noticed, today's date is June 19th. The numbers are 619. And that is an honor to Rey Mysterio, San Diego's own area code. And I'm going to be wearing my Rey Mysterio mask for the majority of today's WrestleRant, if not all of it. If you're also wondering why I'm wearing the World Heavyweight Championship belt here today, I've said it before and I'll say it again, I am going to be wearing a WWE Championship belt every single edition of WrestleRant, and today is no different. It's because Rey Mysterio is a 3-time World Heavyweight Champion. And not only that, but today's WrestleRant number is number 55, and Booker T would be proud of that. He's a 5-time WCW World Heavyweight Champion, so might as well just wear the old WCW World Heavyweight Championship around my shoulder here today for WrestleRant. Let's get right down to the show. Mick Foley returned to Long Island last night for Monday Night Raw as the interim general manager. I thought this was a very fun concept. I'm really looking forward to who else they bring back. Maybe it's William Regal mark right here, so I'm really looking forward to that. Maybe Mike Adamle, that's going to be an Adamle original, or maybe Vicky Guerrero, Stephanie McMahon, and so many others. And of course, Stone Cold Steve Austin could quite possibly be the interim general manager of Monday Night Raw for the 1000th edition of Monday Night Raw next month on July 23rd. So Mick Foley returning, that was a really cool concept. However, it only lasted for about 5 minutes, and he didn't show up for the rest of the show, so I was a little disappointed by that. But nonetheless, a cool way to kick off the show with the returning bang bang Mick Foley. Now moving on to the tag team match, we had WWE Champion CM Punk and World Heavyweight Champion Sheamus tag team together once again to defeat the team of Daniel Bryan and Kane. A very solid tag team match. As I've said before, these guys have great chemistry all together. Sheamus, Punk, Bryan, all these guys have great chemistry together and put together a lot of good action in this match. The most intriguing part of this match is when AJ interfered, came down, running around the ring wearing a Kane mask. That was very interesting. Of course, I've said this before again. The storyline involving Kane, Daniel Bryan, and CM Punk is probably the hottest angle going in WWE today. I'll get to this a little bit later, but there's no other rivalries and no other angles in WWE right now that are worthy of watching, if you know what I'm saying. So, now let me adjust my mask here for a second. But anyway, the tag team match, very intriguing match, of course with AJ interfering, so I'm loving what they were doing with AJ and Kane. Sadly, it looks like they're keeping Daniel Bryan out of the title picture for right now. I think they're moving on to Punk and Kane, but only time will tell. But it was also a very cool finish with the GTS and the Bro Kick, so I thought that was very cool as well. Now moving on, we had Dolph Ziggler versus Jack Swagger, where the winner would win Vicky Guerrero's admiration, and the loser would no longer be involved in the stable of these three wrestlers. Now, Dolph Ziggler went over here, and he's still with Vicky Guerrero. Now, good news, Dolph Ziggler wins a match, which hasn't been all that too often as of late. Bad news, he's still with Vicky Guerrero, which is not a good thing, especially with Dolph Ziggler on the rise. His star is on the rise at the moment, and can't happen any further than that if he's still with Vicky Guerrero. He got a lot of good shares in this match, so I was really, really happy about that. I'm not too sure if it's too smart to change him from heel to babyface at this point, but I did like that the crowd was warming up to Dolph Ziggler during the course of this match. However, after Dolph Ziggler won the match, I thought maybe Jack Swagger was going to turn on him, and same thing with Vicky Guerrero, but no such thing came out of it. They just locked lips and left. As for Jack Swagger goes after the match, they didn't even show him. So I don't know what happened to Jack Swagger after this. They didn't show a sight of him, like what his facial expressions were after the match, after he lost, after he realized that he's not going to be with the stable any longer. So I don't know where he goes from here. Maybe it's just forgotten about, but that was just one quick complaint. But other than that, these guys had a good match, and hoping to see more from them if this rivalry does continue going to Money in the Bank next month. After that, we had a quick promo from Triple H and Paul Heyman. Great verbal exchange from these guys. I'm really liking the rivalry between Triple H and Brock Lesnar going to SummerSlam. I like the fact that they're building this feud going into SummerSlam 2 months in advance. So it really gives us time. It really gives it time for this feud to develop. So I'm really looking forward to that. Paul Heyman was awesome on the mic as usual. The game was better on the mic here than he was at No Way Out on Sunday. So I liked even that aspect of it as well. As well as the fact that Triple H punching Paul Heyman, I think they could have held that off for a few more weeks. I think they could have had Paul Heyman tease that Triple H was going to punch him. I think they could have dragged that out for a few more weeks. But maybe it's going to be leading to something in the next few weeks. Who knows? But I did like the great verbal exchange between these two guys. And as I said before, I'm really anticipating the match between Brock Lesnar and the Game at SummerSlam in only a few months. Moving on, Alberto Del Rio defeated the United States champion Santino Marella in a non-title match. Who gives a shit? We saw this match a couple weeks ago on Raw. Del Rio won that match as well. Then after the match, Ricardo Rodriguez was teasing Santino Marella. God forbid, please do not continue this feud between Ricardo Rodriguez and Santino Marella. Ricardo Rodriguez, don't get me wrong, I love the guy. He is a very talented performer, but WWE is holding back his skill set, so he's made to look like a fool inside the ring that doesn't know what he's doing. Despite having a win over Conor O'Brien on NXT from last year, if you guys remember that. However, I just do not see the point in this match. I do like Del Rio, and I didn't like the fact that they didn't build towards his return to the ring. I know some may argue that he's only been out for about, 2 weeks now, I believe, from that concussion, but I think his return to the ring and return to television should have been treated as a much bigger deal since he was supposed to be in the World Heavyweight Championship match and No Way Out after all. Now moving on, Cyndi Lauper returned in a segment with Wendy Richter, Rowdy Piper, and Heath Slater. Now, this could go either way. When I was watching this was not like terrible shit. It's not like I was dreading this segment at all, but for someone that wasn't around as a wrestling fan when Cyndi Lauper was in the WWE and singing with Wendy Richter, I wasn't very familiar with her work in WWE, so I did like the fact that WWE built towards this moment by showing a video package of the thing that she accomplished in WWE nearly 2 decades ago. So I did like that. However, this television time could have been used for something a little more useful. However, the guys in the crowd, the audience that night, the New York crowd, the Long Island crowd, did recognize Cyndi, so they did give her a good welcome home pop. But other than that, this didn't serve much of a purpose besides plugging the 1000th edition of Raw for July 23rd. So this could go, it's a hit or miss situation. If you enjoyed it, good for you. If you didn't, I'm sorry. So it could go either way. I was on the fence about this. It could have been used for something a little more useful, but it was a fun concept. It was a fun use of time for the 5 minutes that they had him out. And Heath Slater, as much as I hate the guy, he is pretty hilarious. So I did like that he interrupted that segment. When they could have had someone like Zack Ryder come in, I'll get to that in a little bit, but that's just my personal bias for being a broski and all. So we had Primo and Epico defeat the Primetime Players via countout. Throwaway tag team match. The crowd didn't really care about it. As I said in my No Way Out review, they really need to focus on the tag team division for this feud to really make any sense. Now, since Primo and Epico were betrayed by Abraham Washington and No Way Out, I'm not 100% sure if they're baby faces at this point, but the crowd wasn't giving them any love at all, and they weren't giving him any heat either. So I don't really think the crowd cared all that much about Primo and Epico in this match as a whole. But if they want to develop the tag team division, they really need to give these guys either A, more airtime, and B, more development. And the fact that the WWE Tag Team Champions, the current champs, Kofi Kingston and R-Truth, went on television really doesn't help that fact at all. I know R-Truth is injured, but they could have at least had him on television to continue the fact that they're going to be feuding with the Primetime Players over the belts. So hopefully they improve that in the next couple of weeks. In the main event, we had John Cena defeat the team of John Laurinaitis and David Otunga in a handicap match. Big Show was originally supposed to be with Laurinaitis and Otunga, but he walked out before the match began. So that was a little strange, same thing with Otunga walking out on Laurinaitis since they've been loyal to him since day one. However, I guess it does make some sense since Laurinaitis is fired and they didn't need to be with him any longer. But other than that, this is a pretty predictable match. No one really cared about it. I know they were popping huge when Otunga and Show left the match, but I know people are going to be screaming face turn, face turn, face turn for Otunga and Big Show. And I don't think so. But I couldn't really care less about this match. Fine action from John Cena, nothing terrible. But John Cena ending the show, once again victorious, does nothing for me. Because here's my problem with WWE at the moment. The action, the wrestling, all that good stuff is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. However, if you haven't noticed, every champion in WWE at the moment is face. And now that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's not a good thing either. Because usually you're supposed to have the baby faces chasing the heel for the championship. That's usually the formula in wrestling. But since WWE has not opted to do that, there's a lot less intriguing storylines in WWE at the moment. The only 2 good angles that I can think of in WWE at the moment that haven't been terminated are the WWE Championship picture with Punk, Bryan, and Kane, which Bryan is kind of an afterthought at this point, and AJ, of course, and the Brock Lesnar and Triple H match. And that isn't for another 2 more months, and that's not going to be carried on every single week. So they really, really, really need to develop some more feuds if they want to get people more excited about the upcoming summer. Like, as I said in past editions, we had Nexus versus Cena in summer 2010. We had Punk and Hardy in 2009. We had just last year Punk and Cena over the WWE title. What's going to be this summer's huge feud? Only time will tell, but hopefully they start building towards it as soon as next week, because they didn't even mention the words Money in the Bank on last night's Monday Night Raw. I know they mentioned it in a video package or something like that, but besides that, they haven't started building towards that awesome pay-per-view that everyone always looks forward to because it's such a great event. They did start building towards the 1000th edition of Raw on July 23rd. That's all fine and dandy, same thing with SummerSlam, but they need to focus on the present as far as Money in the Bank in a few weeks. So hopefully they start doing that and start building my interest. And on a side note, yes, I agree, they really should have had Zack Ryder on this week's show. I was a bit disappointed that they didn't. But hopefully they do end up doing something with Zack Ryder in the very near future. I know he was on WWE Superstars, but sometimes that just isn't enough. As far as next week goes, we have Chris Jericho returning, so hopefully he doesn't return as a babyface, as that promo kind of hinted at. But hopefully they just have him return in the angle with, I don't know, whoever going to Money in the Bank. But hopefully his return is correctly utilized. So as a whole, this is a decent edition of Monday Night Raw. Nothing spectacular, nothing terrible, but you know, it was just kind of throwaway. If you missed it, then who cares? Nothing huge happened, but it wasn't the biggest, most electrifying Raw that we've had in recent weeks. So now moving on to my links, you guys can follow me on Twitter at @SAVE_US_GSM, at SarcasticSmart, and at WWE Fun Facts. Make sure to check out my all-new radio show, Save US GSM, that debuts its second edition tonight on UTNLive.com. That's going to be at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, 8 Central Time. We're going to be talking about No Way Out and last night's Monday Night Raw. So if you didn't hear anything about my thoughts on those two shows and WrestleRant, you guys can be sure to check that out tonight on UTN Live for Save Us GSM with my co-host at Healed by Design. You guys can also check out my other Spoilers podcast that airs at blogtalkradio.com/spoilers podcast, and we're going to be having our last episode for the summer season for the next few weeks on Thursday, 11 p.m. Eastern Time, 10 Central Time, so make sure to check that out. Make sure to check out my website for all the WWE TNA review recaps and more at nextwrestling.weebly.com. Make sure to check out my Bleacher Report profile. I'm going to be publishing a whole bunch of new articles this coming week. So make sure to check out just by searching Graham GSM Matthews. And I always thank you for subscribing to my channel. Make sure to also drop any comments, any feedback on this video at my Twitter page at @SAVE_GSM. So I thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoy your week. And this is GSM and Rey Mysterio signing out. Till next time, guys.